Hurricane Sally is closing in on the Gulf Coast. Hello, I'm Mike Naso with the latest IPR tropical video update on this Monday night. The satellite of the Atlantic Basin, this is over the last week. And you can see we had a couple of features out there. We had Paulette over here, Renee leaving Africa, and we had this area of disturbed weather here south of Bermuda. Watch what happens with that area south of Bermuda. This is what became Hurricane Sally. Watch it. Moves over by Florida, and it doesn't look like anything except a batch of thunderstorms, and then boom, it gets over the Bahamas, and it immediately becomes a tropical depression, then a tropical storm named Sally, and now it is a hurricane sitting right off the Gulf Coast of the United States. It is amazing how the week has progressed. You can see Paulette became a hurricane and hit Bermuda. Renee didn't make it, and now we have Teddy following behind, as well as Vicky near the Cape Verde Islands. So it's just been one after another, but hurricane season's biggest impacts to the United States have been on the Gulf Coast this year, no doubt. Hurricane Sally, as of 10 p.m. Central, that's 11 p.m. Eastern. The hurricane was at 28.9 north, 87.6 west. Winds still 100. It could be a little weaker than that, but right now a low-end Category 2. Still expected to strengthen a bit and be a powerful hurricane, at least a Category 2, as it makes landfall along the North Gulf Coast, but move very slowly. Look at that speed. West-northwest at 3. If you take its current position from, say, Biloxi, and you divide it by 3, that would be 42 hours before it makes landfall. Now, we don't think it's going to be that slow, but it could be. It could be Wednesday morning, and right now it's Monday night, so it's going to take its time, and that's going to prolong these tropical storm winds. We already had a gust to 70 miles an hour right off Dauphin Island there in Alabama, so it's very serious. I did want to note we do have hurricane warnings in effect from Grand Isle, Louisiana, over to Navarre, Florida, including Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurepas, and New Orleans. Tropical storm warning from east of Navarre, Florida to Indian Pass and west of Grand Isle to Morgan City. Look at these hurricane force winds extending out further here to the north and east. Once the center of Sally gets closer to the coast, Dauphin Island, Horn Island, these little barrier islands here are going to feel the brunt of the storm. And again, you can see the track here. It is expected to make landfall very close to the border of Mississippi and Alabama. The computer models are in not that good of agreement considering how close it is to shore. Some have it making landfall near Buras, Louisiana, some near Waveland, some near the border, some in Mobile Bay, some in the Florida Panhandle. So we don't know, is Sally going to move west-northwest into Louisiana and then up? Is it going to move northwest straight into Mississippi? Is it going to move north and then northeast? So the bottom line is, because there are 4 states in such a small area here between New Orleans and Pensacola, we don't know exactly where landfall will take place, but we know it is going to impact areas of the entire Gulf Coast with heavy rain and gusty winds as well as storm surge. There's the infrared satellite imagery, and again, it doesn't look all that impressive. It does have good outflow, but it still looks to me like it's getting undercut a bit. You can see these clouds here moving towards the hurricane. That indicates a little bit of wind shear, and you can see it's been bursting here. So it's holding its own about 100 miles an hour, a borderline Category 1-2 hurricane. But again, this slow motion, I mean, it's clearly slowed down big time. That's just going to prolong the fetch, that onshore flow here. Look at these storm surge values. Lake Borgne, 6 to 9 feet. Lake Pontchartrain and Maurepas, 3 to 5 feet. 6 to 9 here along the Mississippi coast, and 6 to 9 in Mobile Bay. So wherever that onshore fetch is, if the center of the hurricane is right near the mouth of the Mississippi, that right-hand side is going to just push surge right over Dauphin Island, the border, Gulf Shores, Pensacola, that whole area. Pensacola Bay, 2 to 4 feet, that's higher than they were saying earlier. And even the Big Bend here, you're going to have water rises. So we've already seen some localized flooding along the coastline, and that's only going to get worse as time goes by. Now this graphic here is pretty interesting. This is a potential storm surge map, and you can see it shows the highest risk here right up Mobile Bay, especially if the storm makes landfall to the west of there. Right now the official track could be anywhere, but it does have it making landfall in this region, which if we zoom in on the cities, that would be very close to, say, Bayou Battery, Alabama. So if you're in Bayou Battery, if you're in Pascagoula, make sure those shrimping boats are tied down, because you're going to have gusty winds, to say nothing of Biloxi and Gulfport. I mean, you guys here will have water rises as well, but not as bad, hopefully, if you don't have an onshore flow. So if the center moves to your right, you're better off here on the western side and worse off to the east. So Mobile here and all these bays and estuaries, you guys need to batten down the hatches big time. I keep saying that because this rainfall is going to be a lot of flooding, a lot of surge. There's the radar. You could see it's been... I don't see it moving. Do you guys see any movement? Look at that. I don't see that eye barely moving. It looks like Sally's slowed down, and that rainfall now on the panhandle is just going to continue that onshore movement, and so we're going to have the threat of tornadoes and severe weather. Remember, tornadoes come in these bands around the hurricane, so be on the lookout for that. But right now, it's definitely open on the southern side. That's keeping Sally from becoming a major hurricane, but that is still a possibility because it's already a Category 2, and obviously a major hurricane would be a Category 3 or higher. You can see that wind shear map. I definitely see that Sally is getting some shear here, so it could be in a better upper-level environment, but it's enough to where it's getting hurt just a little bit. Nevertheless, you can see that satellite there, our hurricane right offshore, not moving a whole lot, and definitely has that comma shape to it, so it looks like a solid Category 1 or 2 hurricane at the very least, but the biggest threat is going to be that water rise and heavy rainfall, okay? So that's the latest on Hurricane Sally. Again, you can see it's hung up there. We have the high pressure over here, and that's just not enough anymore to push it straight in, and we don't yet have that troughiness to pull it out, so Sally's kind of stuck, and that's going to cause a flooding threat for the Gulf Coast. Nevertheless, the tropics are active. Hurricane Paulette still expected to be a major hurricane. It's a Category 2 as well, pulling away from Bermuda. Here is Teddy, which is strengthening, forecast to also be a major hurricane and head up in the Atlantic. Vicky out here is a minimal tropical storm, and this wave, could this be Wilfred, the last name on the list? It is possible. So again, a very active tropical Atlantic, but the focus over the next day or two is going to be on our dangerous Hurricane Sally. All preparations to protect life and property on the Gulf Coast need to be rushed to completion, and I'm Mike Naso, and I'll be back later with more on Hurricane Sally.